Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 119. This podcast is about anything and everything related to Destiny the game. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome CJ from Fireteam Chat to discuss Destiny 2 launching on PC, details from Bungie on ways they plan to update the game, and we chat about the upcoming hotfix 1.0.6. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and here with me, as you know, is Mr. CyborgSasquatch. What's up, dude?
Hello, it's me.
How are you?
Spooky
not again.
Squatch.
Okay. Thought we were getting automated cyborg again.
No, it's Spooky Squatch this week.
Not this week. Spooky Squatch. Well, it's not just the two of us this week. We do have a guest this week. We are glad to finally have on the show Mr. CJ Gibson from, you may know him from IGN and or Fireteam Chat. CJ, how's it going?
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for the invite.
How have you been? We finally got you on. It's been in the works for a little bit.
It's been a little bit, yeah. We met back at the D2 reveal, which was how long ago now? It seems like a long time.
Yeah,
moons
it
ago.
does. It wasn't that long ago, but it does seem like a long time ago.
Yeah. So
It was 5 months ago.
Stoked. Thanks so much for the invite.
One might say you're a busy guy.
Very busy. There was a small game that just got released here a month plus ago. Destiny 2.
Might have heard
of it. Kind of a big deal. Yeah, so leading up to that, obviously, it was very, very busy. And then obviously, I mean, while I love playing Destiny 2, that's not all I do. So any other game that was released under the sun that IGN might have been covering, I was also usually involved in doing a video production for, or covering in some capacity. So, yeah.
You are the senior video producer. I can only imagine when you guys had Destiny 2 IGN first, you, among everything else, were probably pretty slammed.
Oh, yeah, it was actually crazy. I mean, so besides that, there was like Assassin's Creed and a whole bunch of other things that were, on the docket there. And as well as Call of Duty. That's another big one. We've been doing some production stuff for those games. And yeah, so Guardian Con was actually, I think, a couple days after we did our IGN first at Bungie.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the exact calendar dates, but I know pretty much I went to a bunch of travel trips between that time, and then I pretty much flew right from Seattle back to San Francisco for a day, and then out to Guardian Con, and then back. And it's like,
man.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a very, very busy summer, but a cool one. I'm kind of glad it's behind me. Great memories. Yeah. Super glad to now just be playing the game.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of settled in, other than the PC release this week, which we'll talk about. But well, you kind of did already a little bit, but I guess telling us a little bit about yourself and like maybe just a little bit more detail on what you do exactly at IGN.
Sure. I mean, when you say senior video producer, it makes me sound so old. Which
important, right?
I mean, I'd like to think so, but old mostly because of the age. No, I mean, so I've been gaming pretty much all my life. I mean, one of my very first systems, I mean, this is going way back. I had an Intellivision. I don't know if you guys remember that, as well as a Commodore 64.
We always find out how old they are by their original system.
That's right. And I won't. I won't say too much more than that. We'll leave it vague.
Well, they know us to be slightly old, so you basically just told them you're older than us.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so early on was really into all those games. Then obviously once the NES came out, huge Mario fan, and then even though I was a Nintendo guy, I mean, had Genesis and Sega and stuff too. So yeah, pretty much every single system right through. Missed a little bit of the GameCube / PS2 years, which I mean were the best years in a way. But I had college going on at the time there, so that's when I took a broadcast course in technical television, radio, stuff like that. So I was a radio DJ for a couple years.
Nice.
Guess the name. CJ the DJ was graced upon me for 3 years at an FM station. And then, after graduating college, I ended up coming out west. Canadian guy here, lived in Saskatchewan for the better part of 12 plus years. And I don't know if I've ever told many people the story, maybe one time on Fireteam Chat, but I ended up, being a big fan of IGN early on. Reached out to a guy by the name of Fran Mirabella in 2006 and wanted to do an E3 opportunity. They had a public sort of inquiry saying, hey, if you're good at video production and you think you got what it takes to hang with the big boys, come on out. I sent off a resume/demo video to him. A video, again, I've said a few times, I would never showcase to anybody. I was crazy young and a little bit brazen. This is all pre-YouTube and Twitter. But it was kind of funny. I piqued Fran's interest, and he's like, hey, dude, if you want to make E3 happen, you have to pay for your own way here, get your own ticket, pay for your accommodations, and we'll get you in. But, you're coming to essentially, have the opportunity. And within 24 hours, I had a trip to LA booked and everything. And it was about like $3,000. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And
wow.
Yeah, that's how I met Fran. And then 12 years later, I got the job. So it was the long play, but been at IGN for 2 years now, since January 2015, and mostly
cool.
dealing with video previews and anything that you see that's video related on IGN, where there's usually either a host in front of the camera or again, the Bungie IGN first. A lot of that stuff was me behind the lens and filming a lot of the B-roll and interview shots and stuff like that. So yeah. It's fun. I really like it a lot.
And now officially with a new picture and banner part, even though you really have been all the time, part of Fireteam Chat.
So that's been the ongoing joke, because if you actually look at Twitter, it still has the old banner up there with Sean, Fran, Jose, and Destin. And a shout out to Jose. Jose, Alfredo, actually, and Destin were the original Fireteam Chat 3.
Mm-hmm. And
I've done so many Nintendo events with Jose the last year before he took off. And yeah, he was the OG. So I've always joked that, I don't want to replace him too soon. But there's a banner in the works. I think it made the YouTube channel, but it's not yet on Twitter. It's the last remnant of Jose in the mix. But yeah, my first, trying to remember now, Fireteam Chat, I think was sometime in February. It was just pre the Valentine's event, and it was actually me, Fran, and Bife on the episodes. That was my very first Fireteam Chat about a month and a half into working at IGN.
Nice. Yeah, you've been on there a bit. It's you were kind of here and there sometimes, but like now you're about as regular as it gets.
Well, I've proven that
I'm to be on that banner.
Oh, dude, you're too kind. I think I've proven that I'm equally a big of addict as anybody else in the office. That's the reason why I made it. I have a problem.
We all agree of having that destiny problem. We can all commiserate.
Yep.
I know you were. I remember seeing you on Twitter that you were pretty stoked to be heavily involved in the first look at Destiny that IGN put together. What was it like being in the studio at Bungie in Seattle and working with all the devs and putting together that stuff ahead of what we were going to see? What was it like being on that side of things?
So now, I think just from talking to you guys really briefly, you guys are both big Halo fans, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're Halo. Yep.
Yeah, like, did you play a lot of Halo 1, Halo 2? Like, how far back?
Oh, yeah, since Halo Combat Evolved, so.
Yeah, and you too, AER0KNIGHT, same thing?
Yeah. A little more briefly in the first couple, but once Halo 3 dropped, definitely into it.
Yeah, so I mean, I still played probably more Halo 2 matches than any game to date. I think I have, like, if you look at my profile, it's like 10,000 rounds. Like, it's still public there. If you punch in my gamer tag, you'll literally see straight days where I've probably played like 24, 30 hours in a row, and I don't know why. Again, I'm not bragging, like I'm a part ashamed, and yet it's there. Like I can't lie and say that I didn't do that.
Right.
But yeah, those games have just, at the time that they came out, it was just like the right moment in time. And I mean, I was a big fan of GoldenEye 64, and played lots of that in college. And then once Combat Evolved came out, and then Xbox Live, I was like, oh my gosh, this just scratches a certain itch that I just cannot shake. So obviously with that, in mind, checking out the Bungie studio for the first time and meeting a lot of those guys, I've watched so many Bungie Vidocs and was involved in just, every single game, to the T. Every time there was there was no community. So you were always waiting, for what I call, the Bungie weekly update still. Frankie, when he was the guy back in the day making all his posts, and then obviously, Deej, and then Cosmo too. Yeah, it was pretty insane to actually go in and meet those guys. Which I met most of them at different events and functions, just very briefly, but to spend some time and actually chat with them. Lars Backham was there, and he was, Halo 3. I think he started around that time. And, Luke and Mark too, just some really good dudes, really smart guys. And obviously, made a little bit all those games that we loved before, Halo 3, Reach, and that stuff. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, very, very surreal for sure.
So tell us, I guess, what your past with Destiny is. I mean, obviously with Halo, you had the Bungie pedigree, but did you cruise right into Destiny because of that legacy, or were you, a lot of people, the time lapse in between those games, a lot of people weren't sure if they were going to get into Destiny. What was your feelings when you heard that Destiny was going to be a game that Bungie was putting out?
Yeah, I mean, so I think I was really excited, and I would say more intrigued, because you just didn't know what it was. And I think even right now, as we try and define Destiny, it's one of those games that just fits almost a bunch of different genres, but it depends on what people are into. Like if people are into an MMO style game, they want it to be an MMO. If they're a shooter, they want it to be a shooter. And so I think that's what's neat about the game, is it still feels pretty unique in that category. I guess Borderlands would be the equivalent, but with a kind of a PvP centric, first person shooter, kind of like Destiny is. But I don't know. I think that just all those things combined with looking back, I'm not really 100% sure why I gravitated towards it, because at first I didn't even really like the PvE side of it. I was a shooter guy, so I was excited for it to come out, but at first I was like, what? I have to play some of this game to get into PvP? You guys remember doing that in the beta?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have to rank up to rank 7 playing the campaign to get into this game. What? I cannot make a private match and play against others. So at first I was just excited, but then once I played the game, I was just, I don't know if I'm going to get into this or not. Like that's what I felt in the beta. Like, so it was weird once the game came out. Obviously I was, big Bungie fan, and so I thought it was going to be good. I was not really into it at first. The first month and a half, I liked PvP, but still didn't want to grind PvE stuff, because it's just not really my kind of game. And then I think I went through the Vault of Glass once or twice with a couple people, and like it wasn't until I did Vault way after release, like about a month and a half after, and I was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, it clicked for you.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, I never really understood, because I didn't play a lot of these, MMO and RPG games like everybody else did. I was like a Bungie shooter guy. So I just crushed Crucible for the first month, a couple months before I even got into it. And then once I realized, oh yeah, you got to play Vault to get, Vex, or you got to get Fatebringer, you got to do this. I was like, okay, I'll give this raid thing a shot. But yeah, prior to that, it was pretty much PvP only for me.
It's funny how you mention those carrots being the thing that brought you into the game.
Isn't that weird?
And look at how different that is now. Just a comment.
No, that's fair, man. It's been a very popular conversation, this endgame thing. But that's where, but without knowing there was a Gjallarhorn at first, and without knowing, like, I mean, Gjallarhorn was sold by Xur the first week. That now there's just, you don't have that moment because everybody was waiting for Xur's first week. But I played the game mostly for Crucible at first, and then kind of just, fell in love with PvP or PvE, and all the different little things that offered later on, but a month or two into it.
Yeah.
Well, we're still kind of in the well, not really the transition, but it's still relevant to ask. We always have to ask what your favorite class and your favorite weapon is. You can tell us D1 and D2 if you'd like.
Ooh, Hunter for life, always. Even if there's been a slight nerfing of my subclass and class, I think overall, yeah, just Hunter to the core for D1 and 2. Yeah, but the weird thing is I mean, I'll tell you my two favorite weapons. I was always a diehard fusion rifle guy in the first one, especially year one. I was just Plan C all the way. I still think I have more Plan C kills and more fusion rifle kills than any other weapon in Destiny 1. Nice. And so nothing hit me harder than the Great Fusion nerf heading into year 2. And I was like, this is so hurtful. And then
times were tough.
Times were tough, man. They just nerfed the special. They nerfed.
You guys are like, what did we do?
Oh,
I mean, come on, it's a fusion rifle.
Oh, man, exactly. It's like, why does there need to be so much recoil? Why are the bullets disappearing when I die? Why, But then my second love came along, IS Luna, which kind of became my first love. And I ended up having the hand cannon god roll of rifle barrel, sure shot, and hidden hand.
Dude, I got mine a month before Destiny 2 came out.
Oh,
it took that long.
Yeah, and I mean that was a chase. Like I ultimately had a whole bunch of different versions of IS Luna, like with Luck in the Chamber and a few other perks I thought were good. But once I got that roll, I was like, oh my goodness, this is disgusting. And I only got it once, so I think I've probably got 3 or 4 IS Lunas total in my 2 years or whatever playing Crucible when that gun was available. But yeah, that was like my winning weapon that I played with every single day.
What are you leaning towards in D2 right now?
See, it's very early, and I mean, I know the weapon's gonna get nerfed. I love Last Hope. I mean, at least on console. But yeah, I don't feel like I've had enough experimentation with all of them to be able to comment. Like, I was never a scout rifle guy in Destiny 1, so to be able to say Mida, like, I'm playing with it in Destiny 2, but there are some legit people who love it in Destiny 1. I actually didn't. Like, I was not a Mida or scout guy at all. I had to go like Grasp and Malik, and those kind of pulses and stuff like that I liked in that Hawksaw archetype sort of deal. But I actually didn't really like scouts, and so I don't really have a favorite weapon, I don't think, yet in Destiny 2. Last Hope is the one I've been using mostly. I just feel dirty using it.
Yeah.
It's kind of feel like I'm breaking the game, cheating a little bit.
It's me.
Use whatever.
Well,
apologize later.
That's exactly it. I'm like, I'm using this meta to the best of my ability until they nerf it. So that's how the game works.
Which we learned. We were playing a little PC Crucible before we recorded, man. I got the Last Hope to drop, and dude, it feels weird. We were talking with Mouse, like it's a totally different gun.
Yep.
Being that close quarters, like it's a whole new experience. But we'll get into that. We got time to talk about the PC.
Nice.
The people need to know: does pineapple belong on pizza, CJ?
That's an atrocity.
Is it a killtrocity?
It could be a killtrocity. Or Kilimanjaro, and so definitely not.
You're in good company.
In my opinion,
I think we're like 8 for 8. I don't think we've gotten a pineapple lover on the show yet.
I would say they probably think we're filtering the guests as they come on, depending on that answer.
100%.
Did we qualify your visit to the show with that question?
That is,
didn't even know.
I had no idea. The correct answer is if you like pineapple on pizza, A, you have a problem, B, we can't be friends.
Yep.
So I had no idea, but I'm glad that we're all in good company.
Yep.
They'll be happy that we have a hunter on.
Yeah, that's all you get, though.
If nothing else.
That's all you get.
I don't know if you knew, dude, but at Guardian Con, the Derp fam, our lovely community, they Cyborg volunteered us for part of a charity stream thing that we would eat a slice of pineapple pizza, and yeah, that happened.
Oh,
yeah,
it's really gross.
You guys are doing work there. You guys are committed to the task.
So maybe if you're there next year, we'll invite you if that happens again. You can try it out.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, it's asking a lot. Now I got to think about it in advance.
Have to work up to that.
We won't hear from you again after tonight.
Yeah, I go the silent. Yeah.
Radio silence. Well, let's get the show on the road and do a couple of we got a couple announcements this week, right, Arrow?
We do, yeah. First off, I mean, this should be releasing if all goes well on Halloween, right?
Do you mean Festival of the Lost, or is that no longer a thing because that was retconned?
It's
in
no
Destiny
longer.
1?
It's Halloween, dude.
Rip.
It's Halloween now.
Rip Festival
It's
of
only
Lost.
the real life events. So yeah, happy Halloween.
Happy
No Festival of the Lost this
year. We're celebrating in our hearts.
Yep.
What else we got? Last week we had a fun little contest to win a Blue Yeti and Assassin's Creed Origins pack, courtesy of Blue Microphones. And if you wrote in, first of all, I'm really disappointed in a couple of you, like people that I know personally that didn't know the answer to this question. Let's see if CJ knows. CJ,
a lot of emails.
Putting you on the spot. Did you play Assassin's Creed like original, like 1, 2, 3, 4?
You know, I'm embarrassed
series?
to say that I've played them all, but I have not finished them. So I only played like the first few missions of them. Yeah.
All right, think back to
Guilty.
Assassin's Creed like 1 and 2.
Okay.
All right. In the game, there is a character that Desmond, he finds his memories through the game, and he doesn't belong in the Animus, but he's there. Do you remember what the guy was called?
I do not.
Mm,
No,
this is
I
a
do
tough one
not.
on the spot. All right.
that's a no. Hey,
If
I
you
didn't know
wrote
it either,
in,
man. I didn't. Apparently, I
The
didn't.
correct
play enough
answer was
Assassin's Creed.
Subject 16.
Oh,
You guys
geez.
remember
We got a lot of
this? He
emails.
like bled into the Animus and was like his consciousness was like trapped in the memories. And over the course of like 3 or 4 games, like he's warning you about, you know, the bad guys and stuff.
Yeah, if anything, I was probably before that. Like I thought that the game was amazing when it came out, and I played it for probably about like a good couple weeks off and on, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go back to playing like Halo 3.
Halo 3, right?
So
Well, out of everybody that answered correctly, we did a drawing, and the winner was Dark Huntress. Congratulations.
Nice.
You won yourself a
Very cool.
Blue Yeti and a copy of Assassin's Creed Origins on PC.
Yeah,
And I
thanks,
think we'll be
Blue, for
doing
that.
some more stuff with Blue in November that we
Mhm.
can look forward to. Keep your ears tuned to the show for more about that. I think we'll be giving away some more stuff. So
We will.
yeah.
Speaking of giving away stuff, Mr. Shout out to the co-founder. We're gonna spat out 3 Pop-Tart codes.
Pop-Tart
right here.
codes.
Yeah, so
These
you
give
ready?
you extra XP boosters, right?
Right, exactly. So I'm hoping. I actually am not certain. Let's just answer this right now. Does this go to your actual Bungie profile? So can people apply this on PC?
You go to bungie.net/redeem and you can choose where you want to
Okay, good.
use
So
the power
it's relevant then. PC leveling.
Yeah, I might steal one of these, so hope you guys are fast.
So here we go. Try to say this as clear as possible. I'll read these off. T6PLNDDRM. That's the first. Number 2, T6PLTVGKD. And the last one, TYTCJDKRJ.
So
There you
again, plug these in at bungie.net/redeem and you can get yourself an XP booster, which is great if you're on PC or if you're just coming to the game.
Yes, co-founder, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Co-founder. Next up, we had an email from a guy, a clan member, Brian31443, and he had a question about activity in the clans. He was a little concerned. He said, guys, I'm not going to get booted out because I'm just logging in like once a week, twice a week, right? To be clear, guys, so we have this rule about being active in the clans, and the idea behind the rule is so that we don't have dead weight of people who are literally just not even playing the game. And meanwhile, there's other players that would like to join a clan that are playing the game. So if you haven't logged in like 3 weeks or a month, we're probably going to do maybe some house cleaning in the near future, but we're going to let everybody know beforehand. But if you're logging in every week and just playing when you can, you're contributing and you're completely safe. So don't stress.
Yes. Don't worry.
Don't you worry your pretty little heads.
And head over to your postmaster there and pick up all your good loot.
For real. Pick up all the stuff that everybody's getting for you from Soraya.
Hawthorne there. Yeah.
Yeah. Hawthorne's awaiting. All right, guys. We got some news this week. We got a meaty twab.
We did.
Meaty twab.
This week at Bungie, we launched Destiny 2 on PC. Good job, guys. Give yourself a pat on the back.
We did it.
It's here.
It's finally out. The code is on our PCs. We were playing before the show, and to some success. I mean, it was executing, right? Like we were shooting the mans. So that's a success. They put out a Destiny 2 PC vid doc titled A Whole New World, where they talk about the development of Destiny 2 on PC, worth a listen. You can also catch me, AER0KNIGHT, and Blue Ranger in part of the video.
You guys got a little cameo. There you go.
Man. You know,
I was in a wide shot. I was in the big boom shot. I could see myself. I was like,
that was us, dude. I tweeted out a picture with a big circle around Blue Ranger's orange shirt. That's the only.
He had an orange shirt
our
on.
cameo.
So you can see him in any wide shot, and you know that we're just like next to him. We're like, hey, there I am.
That's awesome.
Big guy wearing a bright orange shirt. Can't miss him.
This video was really cool, though, man. Like you knew they had to work quite a bit to get this thing on PC, but it was cool to hear them talk about what all they had to do and what they had to think about.
I like
translate it to mouse and keyboard.
Kind of look behind the scenes into what they had to do, especially with the control systems and everything, to make it play well. And
it's a
I think
hot
it shows.
topic right now. Hot topic. I mean, I'm
I like
playing
that,
lots on controller.
I honestly laughed a little bit in the video with the part with Luke Smith and I think one of the lead developers. He was kind of said he was looking over his shoulder, and Luke Smith's like, yeah, it looks really good, and he's like, it's not good enough. We got to keep working on it. It's like, dang, they dove in. They were all about the experience on PC.
Well, and that's one of those things where, especially when all these games are in work and development for so long, I would say that feeling is just in general. It's like, can you imagine that moment where they're going gold and they're like, okay, are we good? We're gonna hit the go button now. Everybody ready?
Or this is it.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a pretty intense feeling for sure.
Got to be a good feeling for those guys. We'll talk a little bit about PC more in our reset, but first, they mention passing the development torch from the people that made Destiny 2 to the people who will sustain it. We talked a little bit about that last week in the TwitchCon stream, but they have some previews of some of the armor that they showed off that we can expect in Season 2. And then we got some very meaty comments from game director Christopher Barrett.
Good stuff.
Who I'm assuming is in charge of what we're going to be seeing in some of the live team updates. They haven't said like what content pack he's working on. I have to assume he's working on one of the DLCs coming up.
Right. I would think, a lot of this initial bullet point list maybe is an update with the first DLC pack, but that's...
Yeah.
Because there is an actual director over the live team, not Chris Barrett.
Yeah, I think they kind of change with each release and kind of have like a producer officially assigned to each DLC pack and whatnot.
But I think it's worth... I'm going to read pretty much this whole paragraph because I think it's really important what he has to say here. So he starts off, hey, everyone, we've been playing the game in the wild for 7 weeks, and like the Destiny experiences that have come before, we're always thinking about where the game is headed next. We're still planning when a bunch of improvements listed below are going to make their way into the game, but we wanted to let you know what we're up to. Here's a short list of updates we're working on. New systems and rewards to give our most engaged players additional optional pursuits. Better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. Better rewards and replay value for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. Private matches for the competitive community. We are
Yay.
targeting early 2018. This is the only thing they actually date. Yeah.
Right.
Yay. Crucible tuning, like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rules, better incentives for completing Crucible matches and penalties for quitting competitive games, continued improvements to Iron Banner and faction rallies, including uniqueness of rewards, changes to make the mod economy more interesting and impactful, ongoing improvements to exotics, including adjustments to reduce instances of duplication, new ways to spend surplus currency and materials, looking at legendary shards, and finally, an emote interface that allows players to equip salty, spicy ramen, 6-shooter, and flip out all at the same time.
Finally,
an emote
dude.
wheel.
An emote wheel. How long have we been talking about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He finishes.
How long?
There's more we're working on. We'll talk again soon, Barrett.
Yep. Asterisk while
So-
emotes are available.
Yeah.
Right off the cuff, I was really pleasantly surprised that they were very direct in addressing this many hot items. I mean,
Dude, this got a lot of good feedback on at least my Twitterverse, my Twitter feed. People were pumped about this media update. It's like a lot of people will say, why wasn't some of this stuff in the initial game? But guys, like we talked about, I mean, we've mentioned our concerns, but whether you like it or not, it was definitely a relaunch. So like you said, Cyborg, I'm glad to see them addressing this like right off the bat.
yeah,
Very
and
much so.
you know, some things to keep in mind. And a lot of people have been on both sides of the spectrum on this, both the positive and negative end of this is there's only one thing here that's even roughly dated. So this could be, some of this stuff could take 3 years or 3 months. We don't know.
Yeah.
I realistically would say we're not going to see all of this year. I'd be surprised if we even saw half of this year, but at the very least, they are working on improvements to, I think, a lot of the major systems and portions of the game that have received the most criticism.
Right.
And I'm excited that they're working on it.
Maybe they only dated private matches as early 2018 because of the rest of this is coming in the end of 2017. That's a positive way to look
sir,
at it. That's
are
pretty,
such a sweet flower.
I mean, I was thinking maybe the same thing, only because they talk about incentives for completing Crucible stuff as well as just some of the changes, and I mean, a lot of that stuff can be tweaked. I would say fairly easily with their new system here, and so I think they're just wanting to make sure that they do it and do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's things like giving us reason to do strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. Yeah, I think they could do something there. Maybe we say pretty quick, but in their world, maybe a little quicker than other things. Now, revamping the mod economy, that may take some thought and some time to get it right. But the only thing, and I'm going to do this because this list is incredible. I love it. This is so great. But the only thing I hope for is that the incentive to play Crucible matches it says better incentives for completing, so it's probably not that, but I would love, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, a ranking system at some point would be wonderful for the Crucible. Give you that.
Yep.
That would
sense
be
of
its
grind.
own bullet point.
So
Right.
If that was gonna
did
happen.
you guys tweet at him at the time and say that? Because that was one of those things that, I mean, we actually just talked about this on our latest Fireteam Chat episode. That's the thing. For me, ranked competitive play. It was one that I was looking for, and I'm like, don't see it yet.
I think that is an item that has been so loudly voiced. I don't even think it's necessary.
Right.
For that feedback anymore.
Even,
there's enough outspoken, high profile members of the community that are doing a great job of making it known that they want ranked Crucible.
Yeah. I mean, and now that we don't, whether we will at some point down the road or not, but now that we have fixed weapon rolls, I mean, to add kind of an aspect of that grind again, man, that ranked game number would really kind of add a layer to that.
Something
but that's
else
okay.
to work on.
This list is
right?
amazing. Yeah. Emote will. That's all we got to say. Emote will.
Hey, yo.
Exactly.
But I think obviously some of these items are, lower hanging fruit that I think we could see. maybe in a month or 2 months or 3 months, like sometime in the near future.
Well, and
maybe
I think
some
the
of them
challenge,
happen incrementally,
yeah, and some of the challenge too, I think, and I think this is the reason why some people are frustrating. Straight up, some of these things are from Destiny 1. So like I hear people who are a little bit frustrated. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I get that this is a new game, so I didn't come in expecting that everything was going to be the same. And I do think there's a catch-22 where it's like, if everything had been too similar, you had the opposite spectrum of going, oh man, prior to the launch, it was like, oh, it's Destiny 1.5. So now it's like, oh man, go back to Destiny 1. And it's like, I really think, it is kind of like a catch-22 for those guys sometimes, kind of evolve a little bit, and too much, people will get a little bit upset. And now they're literally reverting to making it similar to the way Destiny 1 was, especially, with like strike incentive loot and some of those other things. So,
yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, like we talked about that, they've got to filter through the salt. Unfortunately, not everything's directed at them constructively, but on a level playing field, most people can agree. They definitely, even them, I'm sure they need to add some depth to the end game. But when they shoot out a TWAB like this and they tell us nowadays like this that what they're working on, what they're thinking about, that they hear what we're talking about, it's fantastic.
Yep.
This TWAB, very good. Very good.
This was good.
Yeah. I just want people to understand that a lot of this stuff could totally be in the planning phase.
Right. Yeah.
So
literally, it could just be a bullet point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just be realistic about how long it takes to develop things. Like,
Yep.
the live team is not 700 people that work at the studio, Yep. But I'm going to remain positive that we'll see changes in due time. And, we have DLC coming around the corner and that to look forward to. Even if we don't see 90% of this stuff, I'll still be really happy to receive that content and play it and enjoy it.
The season
and see season 2. And I mean, there's so much to look forward to. So I'm still positive about the track the game's taking.
I think we're heading in the right direction, and we're gonna get there a lot quicker than we did in Destiny 1.
Agreed.
So, yep. With that said, there's actually, speaking of how long this stuff may take, we did get a patch note preview.
Yes.
They didn't really say a date on this, right? But if it's at this point and numbered,
yes, 1.0.6.
No, they did say a date. I totally skipped over it. Next week. So
early next week, which would be this reset. Hopefully by the time you hear this, there will be it. It seems like they often do maintenance on reset in the morning. So,
yeah, a little Tuesday
see. But,
update.
Dude, I skipped right to the bullet points. I didn't realize we were getting it that soon.
Now you do.
Yeah, and you guys might maybe start to like Supremacy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I like Supremacy anyways. I know a lot of people hate it. I think
it's not my favorite.
Fun.
I mean, I will say I liked it a lot better in Destiny 1 when there was a bit of a closer range meta in the equation. I mean, it's definitely not that fun right now when everybody's just miting across the hallway and you just have a bunch of crests piling up in the center.
Yeah.
At least now you get a point for defeating an enemy. So now it's like, okay, the points make it beneficial to actually pick up crests. It's the thing that's a game changer. It doesn't turn into, hey, you guys are just playing, regular Clash. There's just a bunch of crests laying around on the ground and you get to 10.
Yeah.
Right.
I swear I've had some scores of Supremacy that are in like the teens. It's just...
it can
really
be a
weird.
battle. It can be a real tug of war. So this should help. And then increasing the score to kind of balance that out to 70 up from 50. Although I don't know how many games are going to make it to 70. Because it seems like the majority of PvP games in Destiny 2 go to time.
So that's the thing I was actually going to say, and I was surprised I didn't see that, at least in the Clash or Control bullet point update. Score reduced in Clash from 75 to 50. Okay.
That's a good jump. Yeah.
That makes sense. But Control, reduced score, limit to 90 from 100. What?
Yeah.
They must have some data that we don't. Like, I mean, obviously they can look at all the control matches and see where they end and what the score is, and that's got to be it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
10 point different.
just a real arbitrary number. Like, the thing that's weird, and I go back to playing Destiny 1 here still every now and then, mostly because I have a problem, but also because I do genuinely enjoy Destiny still. I just don't understand the rounds being so short. Like, an average match now, or the timer in Destiny, is 8 minutes. So you're going to time all the time versus usually hitting the score limit. And I kind of don't really like that. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
liked chasing that score limit,
to that
whatever
number.
it was, to get to
Yeah.
that number. And I'm not sure why there was this cap on, making the rounds 8 minutes versus, I think Destiny 1's actually like a 12-minute round. So reducing that by 4 minutes, like, you only usually get your super once. You're never, getting to the score limit. And it just feels like, your supers coming at the last minute and a half or 2 minutes of the round. Like, I think it's the reason why, supers feel less impactful. So I kind of wish that control one would have, but I don't know, right? I think that if they increase the time, obviously, well, then it's odd that every single other game type has a different time. So I don't know. It just, the rounds feel a little short to me overall.
It is quick play after all, right?
That is true. That is true.
Obviously their philosophy is focusing on shorter matches, for whatever reason, either, attention span or maybe to help decrease the amount of people leaving matches. I don't know. I don't know what the idea behind it is ultimately. The game does play slower, so maybe at longer, match times when they tested it, it drug out, Yeah. Hard to say though.
Yeah, maybe.
But survival, thank God they're making some changes here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Reducing round time limit to 2 minutes from 3 and reducing life count to 6 down from 8.
I will say, I think this change is a good one, but I don't know if it was the right one. I think, and maybe you and I talked about this, Cyborg, but I think switching it from 4 to win to down to 3 to win the game would have been pretty nice change.
I think that's true, but it would have ended up with a lot more steamrolls, Like, I've turned it around at 3 and came back,
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. This obviously is kind of the equivalent, just different numbers being changed. So it'll, but again though, 2 minute round times. I mean, you jump in there and get it done.
Yeah, all I know is this makes the mode a lot more playable for me.
Well, and I think the big deal was trials, like the comparison of a survival card of trials and a countdown card of trials is pretty different right now.
Yeah.
But I think, CJ, you're in the camp that I am, that we would love to see a return in the rotation of elimination.
Absolutely.
It would be wonderful.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know that it's coming back, but man, it just seems like it should.
So prior to us really knowing what Trials of the Nine was, I actually did think it was going to be Supremacy and Survival. They didn't really say anything. We were there and got a chance to reveal Survival, the game mode. So when I was actually playing a Bungie with the devs, that was actually the most insane moment of my life. Like going, hey, this is where all this history has happened. And when you're playing with 8 other people or 7 other people in the room, that is intense. So when I played Survival, those were the conditions that I was playing under. And it was the most incredible game experience because you're there in real time shouting and being competitive with people.
Yeah,
it's still a fun game mode, but it definitely did not translate the same way as with being 7 other people in the room. So I like the game mode. Like, this is really good for me because you're right. I'm not into having like an hour and a half trials run with Survival. It was just it was too long. But yeah, 2 minute
hour
rounds.
and a half is low.
Well, that's what I mean. They can go a long way,
at least.
Yeah, but I think too, just I do like that they changed the minutes to just be the counterpoint to what you were saying there, Errol. Like, I do feel like sometimes if it was only 3 rounds versus 4, which I even said on the record that I wanted to have the rounds reduced, but this might be a nice way to compensate for that. Because I think you still get that like psychological, okay, last round, guys.
Yeah.
But it's nice that it actually is going to be reduced overall, the time length.
Yeah. Yeah, I do enjoy survival as a game mode, but I like any elimination-based game mode. I was always a Clash guy over Control. I mean, I like Control, but I always liked when Iron Bane or Clash came up, so I like the elimination, but that's another topic, too, on what Trials game mode should be and how Countdown fits in there.
You just made me wonder what the next Iron Banner is going to be.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it could be. Or even
Supremacy.
If the next DLC, if maybe there is going to be a return to elimination, and it's just going to be Trials of Osiris.
Now, what if just all the game modes are elimination? Quick play, elimination.
Exactly.
Competitive, elimination. Trials, elimination. Raid, elimination.
It is weird to think about. Like, at some point, I thought about this in the last couple of weeks, but like things like Rift, they're just gone. It's interesting that how simplistic the Crucible directory is right now.
Yeah.
You got two options.
But it's not a bad thing. The two options, I would say maybe that could be changed a bit, but it's not a bad thing maybe to have not crazy amount of game modes. So
my opinion on that, and I've heard a bunch of different things. I mean, early on, I think it's kind of nice that it is that, only from a standpoint of that it gives everybody a chance to experience the different game modes. Having said that, I do not like it long term, and I hope that they would kind of say, hey, this is just, that's what I was waiting for in this weekly update, to say, hey, we wanted everybody to get a chance to play all the game modes. We're going to break them off eventually here in the next month, so then you can play whatever you want. So I don't know why that's not happening yet, but even still with competitive, I don't like the fact that with competitive, quote, quote, with, not being ranked or anything, you can't, auto-populate the round if somebody leaves. Like, it sucks if you have three teammates bounce and then you're in there solo and you can't have the game populate. I think that's still ridiculous.
Well, I wonder, too, like they mentioned in the previous list, we talked about what the penalty will be for leaving competitive and if it'll be enough for people to not leave.
Yeah.
If it will be like you can't re-queue for a certain amount of time or... but then there's just another option if you want to just jump in quick play. So I wonder if it would be Crucible in general. They get all kinds of heat for that. But I don't know. Yeah, I wonder what the motivation there is too with just the two options. If it's a population thing, like they don't want to split everybody off.
It's totally
and give them
population.
too many options.
I think it is too.
You would think there would be enough though, like to just throw in just a couple more to play Control, nothing but Control, or of course, like we mentioned last week, bring Rumble back.
I think it's just about controlling the experience of the average player.
Yeah. Plus, it's two different matchmaking systems they've got going on, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a good comment. I think it was in one of our Fire Team chat comment section or something where, and I kind of really thought it was a great idea that if everything is going to stay the way it is right now, have a featured gameplay of the week that was just like, the way that Trials comes up on the weekend or Iron Banner showed up on the bottom.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, just to have it be 1 week of featured Control, 1 week of featured elimination,
That's a good idea,
1 week of
because we kind of had that before.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
in addition to everything else.
Yeah, and you know that they were able to do these things and did these things in Destiny 1. So yeah, I would love to be able to say, okay, I get that if I jump into quick play, there's all those game modes, but for this week, I could play Control because it was a featured one, or I could play Clash because it was a featured one. So I think that might be a good way to do it if it rotated.
Halo had a bunch of different options, didn't it?
Oh yeah,
PvP?
Halo was fleshed out huge, but it's great, obviously, when the population base is really big because it's all matchmaking. But yeah, after it turns into
rough.
You want to play big team battle or doubles or this and that, you can be waiting in a queue for a long, long time getting into some of those games if you don't know.
We know they don't want that for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And they used to tell you, at least in Reach and as well as Halo 3, I think, total number I think was in Halo 3, but I know for sure in Reach, each game type and mode that you queued into, there was it told you the number of people that were searching in that game type. Now it doesn't say that, and obviously that's a double-edged sword. They don't really want you to know how many people are online, but it was kind of nice. It's like, hey, there's only 10 people in this game mode or 20 people. Like late in the years of Reach, that's what happened, right? There were only sometimes 100 or 200 people or 1,000 people in a game mode. And you're like, okay, maybe I'll go there versus these ones that don't have any.
Yeah, that I mean, sometimes, well, even right now on PC, the queue times are kind of long, which, you know, could be because people are leveling their characters, but I don't know. People definitely don't like to wait in matchmaking too long. So again, Bungie is in a rough spot figuring out what's best, what people want, and what they need to do.
Yep. And they made the voting system too with other games, which is, I don't know, a part of me thought that might come back, you know? I mean, they kind of, well, I guess Call of Duty did that, I think maybe earlier, but they'd had it in Halo 3 pretty much on, and I was surprised they didn't really give it another shot for this to either vote on the map or the game mode or something like that. But
yeah, that'd be interesting if you could vote in the quick play playlist on the mode. If they're going to leave it the way that it is.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be nice. But yeah, hopefully they just break it out. Let us play what we want eventually.
Yeah. Cyborg, your favorite section, man.
It is time to talk about the Destiny Operations Center, Destiny player support, our friends keeping us running in Destiny 2. So we've got a list of known issues for Destiny 2 PC launch that you should definitely check out. Since these are all very specific, I'm not going to read them all to you. One of the most, I think, present issues that we were talking about this last night, that they are aware of player reports describing the clan roster not appearing in Destiny 2 on PC. What is the deal with all the Destinies having problems with propagating friends lists and now the clans list?
Yeah. And there's some speculation out there right now, too, that it's causing some frame rate leakage.
Yeah, and then there seems to be some kind of issue where if
that's
it's
not
just
confirmed, but
that's the working idea, is that if it's just continuing to try to pull your clan list, that it's jamming up the program and causing frame rate drops.
People were saying, there was a post on Reddit, they were saying that they noticed it after they joined a clan, so they're like, oh, I'm just going to leave the clan, and we actually had a couple in the Dirt Fam try it, and they seemed to have a better experience. I was having to relaunch my game about every hour and a half last night because my frames would stay the same, but my game would just get jittery and unplayable. And I'd relaunch it and smooth as soon as I log in. So I don't know if that's the case, if it really is the clan roster.
Sounds like a memory leak.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's so many factors with PC.
Yeah.
I tried to do some more optimization on my own machine this weekend. So that's the thing I love about consoles. You don't have to think about any of that. You just put the disc in.
Yeah.
I was running great until about 2 hours in last night. I went from a perfect locked in 60 FPS to about 51. And I don't know why. So I have to I got to look at my own machine before I blame other stuff. So I got to make sure everything is optimized properly and
Exactly. Somebody out there is calling us PC noobs.
Yeah. There's just a lot. There's a lot to factor in.
There is. There's a lot more to factor in. Well, CJ, you were just experiencing something before we started recording. You got the boot 5 times.
Yeah, I got, what was it there? Rabbit and then Anteater, and it makes no sense. And so then I was troubleshooting. I'm like, what was the reason why I was doing good? It's like, I was playing on Wi-Fi last night. Sure enough, unplug the Ethernet cable, connect to Wi-Fi, flawless. But I got disconnected.
Weird.
And I had 100 meg down and 10 meg up on my wired connection. So I don't get it. I unplugged it, and immediately the next 4 games were flawless. So
that's super counterintuitive, right? What you would expect.
Makes no sense.
And during you having that, I got my second hard crash. It just closed me out the desktop while that was happening to you. So, overall there hasn't been too much. It's been pretty smooth, but it's PC.
There's still some issues to sort out.
I mean, that was, it's funny you mentioned that was my fear a little bit as well too. I was a huge PC guy way back when, I played, well, again, we don't want to get my age, but those Doom, Wolfenstein years and Unreal Tournament on PC very early on.
Oh, yeah.
I used to build my own machines, probably Pentium 1 all the way up to a P4 Hyperthread and the early Athlon FX64 chips and stuff.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of dropped off, and I was like, why do I need the best PC? This is a problem that I have. I just got to take a step back. But
it's tough thing to keep up with.
It really
especially
is.
in those days when technology was really moving pretty fast at that point.
Yeah, it was evolving. You'd have like processor speed and RAM or hard drives even doubling like every year or 6 months. You're like, what? Like the cost of it just kept going down.
It was really tough to keep up.
Yeah, but I mean, it is interesting. Like, I'm not a very big Windows guy. I mean, a lot of my video production stuff and all of our office computers, for the most part, are running Mac. And yeah, it's just a little bit easier when it comes to like, cloning a desktop, getting it up and running, to just go back and forth between Mac operating system versus, having to deal with drivers and, graphics cards and all that other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, the Windows ecosystem, it's just been not something I've wanted to kind of, just troubleshoot. I do like the whole console experience for that reason as well, pop in the game and go. But
yeah, absolutely.
60 plus frames.
It's got its advantages, but those frames, guys.
They got me.
Oh,
hey, don't worry. I'm rocking like 150 or 60 in orbit, man. Let me tell you.
The orbit frames, guys.
Yeah, I got a solid 200 in orbit, and I'm just looking at it now.
But
orbit sweats are real now.
Yeah, that loading animation's so smooth.
It's buttery, and getting in and out of games and getting in and out of loading points is very quick.
It is very fast.
You do notice those things, so
yep.
Those are hard to go back to when you pop in that console. This is me eating my words.
The funniest reaction I saw this week was a friend of ours, Fallout Plays, and he tweeted something to the effect of, enjoying Destiny 2 PC 60 FPS, get to a cutscene 30 SPS, vomit.
So it's funny because everybody says that, and like from a cinematic and like visual standpoint,
the cinematics don't bother me at all.
Yeah, it's just the cutscene stuff. But
30.
Yeah, but to me, like I come from like a video background, and have you ever watched like a film in what they call true motion on most TVs, or like motion plus? It's like, it's not designed to look like. Again, this is, I don't know if you guys are movie buffs at all, but like the Hobbit movie there, when it got released in, I think it was 48 frames, which is double 24.
Yeah, and a lot of people were getting sick and stuff.
People did not like it. So there is this certain cadence of the visual fidelity that, from a movie standpoint, we're trained to like that film speed at 24. And when you get into like, 50 frames or 60 frames and above, it just doesn't look right. So I'm all for the campaign and cutscenes and all that stuff being at like 30 or whatever they are. If anything, it looks super weird to me when those things are at 60 frames and higher. This doesn't look right. Yeah,
I agree. It was a very different opinion on it, but just the idea of going from
it switches back and forth.
Destiny,
Go. I'm sure. So I've mostly played on PC this week, and I'm probably going to jump on console like tomorrow night, and it's going to be a big difference.
And, the whole field of view thing, man.
I was telling a friend last night. I was like, man, you really need to come to PC, and I was explaining like there's parts of animations that you've literally never seen because there's not enough frames to display it. Like even your own Guardian's actions and like, the guns that you'll see in reloads and like throwing grenades. Like there's just parts of animations you never see, but at 60 FPS, it's so smooth that you're like, wow, this game is really beautiful now that I can see it at a higher frame rate, Yeah.
Yeah. I hope, we're getting close to reset, but I hope that it doesn't take away from the console aspect of the game. Cause I love PC gaming, but I'm a true console player. So, it's like, I just don't want the PC, it being available on PC to take away from console at all. But it is what it is. We can all play it. We play where our friends are at. So if it's available everywhere, that doesn't hurt anybody.
So it's weird. Are a lot of your guys' friends switching? Because I've been a big advocate of console as well too, being a little bit not anti-PC, but worried, like the PC might hurt that whole community dynamic that has kind of been.
It's kind of like a meet in the middle thing. Like, it's nice because like Cyborg and I play on different consoles, so we kind of meet in the middle now on PC, and it's a little easier than booting up our other console. We're at our PC anyways.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I said I'm gonna main PS4. And that's where I like to play, and that's where most of my friends list is. Even though my Blizzard friends list like skyrocketed when this thing launched, everybody that was picking it up, which is a good thing. But it's like I'm even feeling it a little bit. I'm like I'm excited to play with keyboard and mouse, and it's like I want to go back to console, but and I will. It's where I'll main the game, but it's so tempting to play on PC. Like, I just hope that isn't like what happens over time and it becomes less of a console experience. I said way early on when they announced that it was going to be on PC, like some development teams, because they add actual gameplay aspects that are different, and then it becomes a better experience as far as the actual depth of the game on PC. They haven't done that with Destiny 2, and I hope they don't ever with any iteration, but the options sometimes are enough, a greater field of view, higher frames. I just really hope it stays, as popular on console as it has previously.
So that's the challenge, right? Because when we were talking about the game, and everybody initially was kind of comparing it to Overwatch, obviously launching on a bunch of platforms simultaneously. But to me, I was like, Overwatch at 60 though is a console thing as well. So there's a very big difference, I think, with this because it is at 30. Like, that is a fundamental difference, seeing 60 and above. And when you go back and you go try to play it the other way, I mean, even for me, that's what I was just saying again when I was chatting with a bunch of friends. Like, I didn't want to feel like I needed to just play at 60 frames because, I just like 60 frames. Because I like Destiny 1, or OG Destiny at 30 frames. Like, the game experience was amazing. I never looked at that going, I wish this had 60 frames. I mean, all the previous Bungie games, Halo 2, Halo 3, Reach, like, I liked them at 30. So for me, it was really weird when I heard a bunch of people say, oh yeah, you got to go, 60 and above or uncapped and everything. But the problem though now is when I'm playing with controller on PC, it feels a lot better, and I feel like, shots are registering, and that's what I don't understand. So I would be more than willing to play and be maining, PS4, which I still think I will, but like when it comes to PvP, like, it feels different, and regardless of the 60 frames thing, that's what I don't understand. Like, Destiny 1 at 30 felt great. Destiny on console right now in the PvP space just doesn't quite feel right, and I don't know why.
I think there's some weird stuff that Destiny 2 on console, it reminds me of certain periods of Destiny 1 early in PvP of certain problems like hit registration, latency, melee hit registration, like problems that were evident early on in Destiny 1 PvP that were kind of repaired and tweaked over time. And immediately on playing Destiny 2 PvP on console, like the first couple weeks, that was a lot of players that came from Destiny 1 were like, why am I getting shot behind walls so much? Like, why am I having so much problems with melee hit registration? Like, these are all, it all felt kind of sloppy in some ways. And you're right. On PC, it's a lot tighter. The latency is a lot, it's improved. It just is a better experience, and it's a weird phenomena.
Yeah. I mean, hand cannons, they're back. Like, it's even with
there's no
tweaking.
Yeah, exactly. There's just like, I'm using garbage green hand cannons right now because I'm at the early part of the campaign and haven't played through the whole thing yet. And I'm like, well, feels way different already, and I don't have any legendary or exotic weapons.
And you're playing with controller, right?
Yeah, on controller.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
on dev. This isn't mouse and keyboard, so he's not. That's not what it is. He's playing with controllers. So
yeah, and I will give mouse and keyboard
but,
a shot down the road, but I just wanted to kind of feel familiar and go right into PvP to see if I could feel the difference. And even with a controller, if all things are pretty equal, which I know potential bloom and all these other things and aim assist are tweaked a little bit on the PC version. I just don't know why I feel so much better on PC with a controller.
Mm-hmm. Well, we derailed. Sorry, right into the main topic. I think that was all me.
One last piece
Cyborg,
of news,
real quick. Yes,
and we can move more into into Destiny 2 PC talks. But one big hullabaloo that came up this week was there was a lot of, an alleged gross number of bans on PC on day one on launch, and it seems to be the case was just a very, very vocal minority of these players that were getting banned were being really loud, because it's that weird phenomena where if you've got enough people, you automatically assume there's a lot more that aren't saying anything. So everybody was freaking out thinking, oh my gosh, like postulating like different programs were causing, software to insta-ban you and all this stuff. So Bungie put out a quick little article from the Destiny dev team clarifying what was going on. And they said, I love the way they worded this too. The following is true. Destiny 2 cannot automatically ban you. Only Bungie can ban a player after a manual investigation. Yesterday, we banned approximately 400 players on PC. Bans were applied to players who were using tools that pose a threat to the shared ecosystem of the game. We did not and will not issue any bans for the use of overlays or performance tools, including Discord, XSplit, OBS, RTSS, etc. So what everybody was worried about was like that inadvertently, some programs such as Discord, OBS, and things that you're not supposed to be able to use in conjunction with Destiny 2 would cause a ban. What will actually happen is just the program will not execute and it'll close on you if it's causing a problem, but they're not going to ban you for that. So obviously there were some legitimate bans that happened and a large number of them, had to be people attempting to manipulate code, that were just full of crap, as is usually the case, Bungie banned me and I wasn't doing anything. It's always something. There's always a story.
Yeah, and you never hear the other side when you find it later on. Yeah, the dudes were actually manipulating it and they were just lying.
Right. And of course they were. So that was a thing, but hopefully if you're on the up and up, nobody got banned. They did say that 4 bans were overturned. So for whatever reason, that shouldn't have happened, and they looked at 4 people and overturned their bans and let them back in. So yeah, good for you guys, you 4 guys. But that's all the news this week. Let us proceed into the next section, AER0KNIGHT.
Yes, we of course always ask and guess first. How was your reset, CJ? Now we know Trials is still not up and PC released, so we have a pretty good idea maybe of what your reset consisted of.
One more week, guys. Hang in there.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, CJ, you're a big Trials guy too, right?
I am. My reset consisted of Halo 5.
Because Trials was down.
Exactly. No, I mean, it was weird. I think we were just talking a little bit about it. Yeah, I mean, so I play Trials every weekend just because one of these guys who does not play for the loot. I mean, obviously I'm liking the loot, but does not play for the loot, play it because I love the game mode and I just like thirst for that competition. So the fact that it wasn't online, I was kind of like, so I did explore other games and played a little bit of Halo and some other stuff, but then PC came out and I was like, all right, this is good. I'm going to get the whole PC thing going. And then, try Crucible. And I am back.
We
addicted.
didn't mention that did we mention in those patch notes that they are patching the bureaucratic walk emote? So
we skimmed over that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of convenient. We were talking about CJ that Trials goes down for 2 weeks over the PC release because of an emote glitch. But I gotta say, as much as I want Trials back, like it makes sense. It gave us time to level our PC characters, guys.
Yeah. And so did you actually see anybody using the emote glitch in Trials? Because I gotta send you guys this clip. I have good friends of mine who are playing, and then all of a sudden it happened, and they didn't know it at first. And you hear them like they're going, "Dude, I'm getting shot through a wall." And they didn't know what happened, and then you see the guy's gun out of a wall, and you're like, what the heck is happening? And he's literally like not shootable, shooting at the capture point in Countdown as they're trying to defuse the bomb. So then later on, they end up doing another round, and then he gets him, and he actually has a wide shot on him where he sees the guy doing the walk into the wall. So then they actually start shooting at him like, there, he's glitching into the wall. So for that reason, I have actually seen it used for evil. And I think the question in the community was, well, why not just disable the emote? I do understand that. I think the big side of, the reason why they didn't do that is like, well, how do you remove potentially the emote when somebody has earned the emote or got it, maybe if they purchased it at Eververse and all that other stuff. So, I think that's why it was handled that way. Disabling the emote, obviously. A
lot of the positions they're in are lose-lose for them. So, for Bungie.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, as much as I wanted Trials, as much as the next person or more, I'm just glad that, they're dealing with it and taking care of it. But I saw it directly firsthand with a couple friends of mine in a match, and it was hysterical, but I felt super bad and was pissed for them. So I am glad that if it was a glitch and an exploit, which it obviously was, that they disabled it. And we're missing out on Trials.
And
but
hey, you leveled your PC character now.
I leveled my PC character, and I do like PvP on PC. And, I kind of said this on our last show that I was feeling a little bit burnt out by PvP, which I did never, ever feel with Destiny 1. Like, I played Destiny 1 Trials, Destiny 1 private matches, Destiny 1 Iron Banner, and any other game type, that was featured in the playlist all the time for the pure fact that it was fun. I was not having tons of fun playing Destiny 2 Crucible on console. And, I don't say that flamboyantly that, it sucks and I hate it. I do still love Destiny 2 overall. But yeah, the console meta with Mida and, Last Hope, which again, I'm guilty of using until they nerf, is not just that fun. So...
Well, I think part of it too, we've chatted is, I feel like it's becoming, now that we've gotten used to it, we've learned the maps, it's a little bit more frequent to have those one-man army moments, but I think we chatted a little bit, like we miss those moments in Destiny 1. I think I am having a good time in Destiny 2 Crucible, especially when like our team gets in on point and we're all running together. But I do think that part of it, a lot of it, is those moments that you'd have pretty regularly in Destiny 1 where you felt like you yourself could make something happen. But we've talked about that. I know you've mentioned that before too. So I don't know, maybe they add that a little bit back to the Crucible and feel a little bit more like what we're used to. But I don't know, PC. I mean, you're enjoying it on PC. I'd like to hear that both of you are playing with controller.
It's weird. Like I already got flamed hardcore when we did our reveal live stream at the when Destiny 2 was announced that they would allow you to use a controller, and they were kind of going to tune it for that. Everybody was ripping on me, but I'm like, well, I just am not a keyboard and mouse guy. Like, I appreciate it. I am going to try it and hopefully get better at it. But I do like the familiarity of playing with the controller. And I will say that even at 60 right now, I know good friends of mine who are playing with mouse and keyboard and controller. They're like, the meta, it just feels different. Like, I can 4-tap hand cannons. I can do this from a distance with a pulse rifle. And so I think that those moments of the 1v1 hero moments, I have had moments like that a bunch on PC, when typically on console, I would just get destroyed. Like, if I see two people on console, I'm running. Like if I'm on a 1v2 and all of a sudden they're together, I'm like, see you later. Now with PvP on, PC, I kind of go, okay, I think I might be able to approach them with my hand cannon in like this mid-range situation, and it just feels different. And I've not been able to quantify why that is yet, but I've definitely, felt it just for whatever reason, and it does feel fun.
Well, I think
makes the game fun.
Cool too that you're saying that and using controller. I think that's a big point because a lot of people would just place it on mouse and keyboard, but you're using a controller and still experiencing that. I forced myself to. I almost popped in a controller just because I love using a controller. I even sat down at my computer a couple times after taking a break and was like looking for my controller. I'm like, wait a second, I'm not using a controller, and I surprised myself how fast I switched a couple buttons around to make it a little bit more smooth of an experience and some key bindings, and I'm picking it up. Like I've used nothing but mouse and keyboard.
Nice,
so
man.
I'm gonna stick with it and see if I can go back and forth. At some point I'm sure I'll throw my controller on just to, like you said, for familiar sake. But Cyborg, didn't you say you were doing the story with keyboard and mouse?
Yeah,
Try to get used to it?
I'm kind of in the same boat as CJ. Like I would love to be super proficient at keyboard and mouse, but I know my limitations, and so I wanted to try to get through the story on keyboard and mouse, just to get used to how the game plays and see how I would improve, so I could at least say like, yeah, I can play it somewhat. But man, I jumped into my first Crucible match with you on keyboard and mouse and just got my butt kicked, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get a controller out now.
It's classic.
It's a big learning curve, man.
Yeah. I'm sure relate it to like the weekend I decided to switch to bumper jumper, and it's like, your brain just doesn't accept a change like that very fast.
Yeah, and this is, I'm coming off of, not having played any FPSs on keyboard and mouse for years, but I have been playing like PUBG on keyboard and mouse for, a few months since I built my PC in July. So I'm not like totally green. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe I can make this work. But as soon as I got the controller hooked up, it definitely felt more comfortable, and the game is a lot smoother, of an experience for me on a controller, and I'm probably going to finish out the campaign and just keep using a controller because I am not like God's gift to PvP. So I'm not going to pretend like I'm ever going to play at the level that the guys that can take advantage of that sensitivity can, so I'm just going to do the best that I can with a controller and try to compete and be, as good as I can be and enjoy it, than try to kill myself.
So far, between the two of you and some of the Derp fam, I mean, controller, they're still staying competitive, so it's not like
it's
steamrolled.
I don't think that the skill gap is huge. I just think that, as was heavily discussed after the PC beta, like there are going to be players, but it's a very small percentage of players that can take advantage of that level of sensitivity with their mouse to dominate. But these guys are in their own class entirely,
Yeah.
Well, dude, I can already tell like my loadout choices are different because using keyboard and mouse and trying to figure out my sensitivity and how fast you can 180. I run in with Last Hope that I'm using on console, and it's like I'm just moving so fast, and I'm even the 7, 8, 9 sensitivity on console, and it still just doesn't even compare. So I find myself like getting a shotgun out because if I'm that close, still trying to get used to that sensitivity, like I need a one-shot weapon. I can't. The Last Hope burst, just like I'm just not used to how fast it is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. That's when I can notice somebody is using a mouse and keyboard of those close-up engagements, right? Like, I find it long range, when you're using a scout or when you're using a pulse rifle or something long range, it's it seems 50-50, maybe even advantageous actually as a controller user because of the aim assist. But up close, oh my gosh, for those people who are good up close, like when you're playing that cat and mouse game where you're jumping back and forth or you're juking, it's just like, you just get locked onto, and you're like, oh, okay, that guy's on mouse and keyboard, like 100%. So that I would like to try it as well too. It's funny that both you guys, and I'm not sure if you were saying too as well, or not that PUBG, if you were playing that at all. But yeah, everybody that I know of who are big, controller users for the most part, started getting into mouse and keyboard with PUBG. So it's funny, I've heard that same story probably about a dozen times now. I mean, Destin in our office as well too. That's like, PUBG is like, the gateway into Destiny 2.
It was what was big this summer, and everybody was gearing up. So that was just kind of the thing.
And it's funny because, I missed out on it. I was doing so much work that by the time, and I didn't really have a computer, and I'm using like a laptop right now from our office testing out Destiny and doing some capture.
It is not as well optimized as Destiny 2.
No, I've heard. And so if anything, I want to still play PUBG, and I might, and I'm going to try mouse and keyboard a little bit. But everybody says I'd have such a good time. So I definitely am, going to give mouse and keyboard a shot. And hopefully, going to learn some new tricks that might be.
I have those moments with it. Yeah, like with mouse and keyboard, just like I'm moving my sensitivity down on mouse and keyboard, whereas controller I was always moving it up. Yeah, and like I have those moments with gaming all the time when I'm trying to get better at PvP or something, and I stop myself and I'm just like, okay, you can do this. Like I'm having that moment again where I'm like, I'm moving so fast at those close quarter engagements. I have to just stop myself and be like, just tell my brain like, okay, you can move this fast. Like just figure it out. Like, come on. It's just a game, but man, it's different.
Which is weird with the controller that like on console, I play with sensitivity 4. On PC right now, I'm playing at sensitivity 8 with a controller. And then I was playing Halo 5 again with the cancellation of Trials. I did like how Halo 5 had independent X and Y axis adjustments, as well as individual acceleration for when you're like holding tight against the analog stick wall. I wish that there was a little bit more, I don't know the right word, kind of depth, or is fleshed out a little bit more like that in some of the controller options for console as well as for PC with controller. Because, I like when I'm ADSing is when I want to move very slowly. But when I'm not ADSing, I want to be able to, it always feels like I'm hitting that wall of like my character won't spin around fast enough, or I can't look up to the sky fast enough.
If there was a break in sensitivity, that would be amazing for me, because ADS, I want a lower sensitivity, but if I could get a high sensitivity just for my movement when I'm not ADS, I think I would play at a higher level just on that alone.
And that was the thing. I actually changed my sensitivity midway through Destiny 1. I played Destiny 1 at like a 7 or 8 as well when I was a big shotgun fusion rifle guy. And then once those got nerfed at the beginning of year 2, or like Taken King, and I started sniping a lot more, I ended up being around a 4. And kind of that was what I ended up getting used to with the rest of Destiny 1. Because, I mean, for the most part, I ended up, having like Laughing Heart, Defiance of Yasmin, and just really liking that whole snipe game. Prior to
I went from about a 6 to a 4 doing the same thing. Yeah. About the same period.
But I wish there was a little bit more, calibration control per se. Maybe, again, if we voice loud enough, might be something that they add. Like, it wasn't in Halo 5 initially, and it got added later on, I think about like 6 months or a year later in an update. So,
yeah, just go. I would recommend posting a super salty post, and then it's sure to get some attention.
On Bungie.net,
totally
ideally.
Just getting and then calling them out individually how terrible they are as people. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Then you'll get your sensitivity depth, my friend.
Well, I'd love to hear just overall what you guys think about just how the game. I've been stuck on this, but just how the game looks and plays on PC. I think it needs to be said for those that are not having the opportunity to do this, and then also so the folks at Bungie can hear our thoughts on it. I'm super impressed with how beautiful the game is and how much potential it had when pushed to a higher frame rate. It's a beautiful game to begin with. with everything they've been able to do in their engine with lighting and textures and everything else. But when you're able to really have a powerful machine behind it, man, it's gorgeous. Like I can't wait to do some things like some of the strikes in the raid and stuff with that kind of power behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does look good. I think that's kind of, like I said before, the shame in that, like, like, because you can see that it could have been that maybe with the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I understand completely why they're not going to do that. I think, yeah, it'd be a huge disservice to the install base who did not have those new systems to be able to have some people at 30 and some people at 60. But yeah, it looks so good. Almost to the point of like, it still feels odd for me. Like I've played so much Destiny, at 30 frames and previous Bungie games that, I mean, that's where initially when they said that it was launching at 30, I'm like, if the game feels good and looks good, I'm fine with it being at 30, because I think Halo 5 really did make a big sacrifice to hit 60 frames. Like the textures and the resolutions and some of the compromises visually that 343 had to do there. Like, I'm not saying it's not good, because I think for the most part PvP is amazing, but it if you play Halo 5 again, the textures in that game and the design and art style, looks very dated. So from like a technical standpoint, seeing 60 frames and seeing their art design intact, and the draw distance isn't an issue. There's no like texture pop-ins or anything like that you usually get in other games when they're trying to hit those high frames. Yeah, visually it is gorgeous on PC. So it is. Yeah, it still doesn't feel like Destiny in a way, if that makes sense.
You still have those moments you're like, wait, I'm playing Destiny on PC.
Yeah.
But, we mentioned way back, I mean, after the reveal event, how good PC looked, but like we said, I mean, console looks great. I mean, it really does. It looks good, but I think a lot of what PC is for me is when I log in, it feels so smooth.
Yep.
And the frame rate, that's doing that. And it's like, I really hope, I feel like they don't need to make that an oversight, so that the thing I'm worried about with the console player base, like I really hope they think about that with the next consoles or the next iteration, and they focus on that.
That's what I've been thinking a lot about today is that if you're not on PC, I don't know how long it'll be, but someday in the future, we have a version of Destiny to look forward to that plays like this on console. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I don't know what hardware iteration, if it's the one that's coming out when everybody eventually migrates to that, or if it's a step past that, maybe 5 years from now. But we will eventually get a version of Destiny that looks this good on consoles. And I'd say it's absolutely something to look forward to if you're not on PC.
It's like no matter what, we can always upgrade our rigs at any moment. So it's like console stays behind, but I hope they find a happy medium that console players like myself don't feel like we should go play on PC because the quote unquote better experience is there. I really don't want the community to feel like that.
You have to ask yourself, like, we've gotten to, the way I see it, anywhere 60 FPS plus and any resolution past 4K, in my opinion, is just like, you're just toying around at that point. Mm-hmm. Like it's just pushing stuff for the sake of pushing it. There's a limit at which you literally can't perceive a difference in at certain frame rates and resolutions. Your eye cannot process it. So we do have to look at the limitations.
Once we hit that with console,
when we're talking about frame rate and resolution, like there's going to be a point at which we reach the apex of what can be presented to you. And eventually console hardware will catch up to that, and it will be affordable, and it will be something that, devs can actually develop for. And we're approaching that. And I think that's something we can look forward to as console players, of that kind of hardware being available for the masses as a whole, and not just for a niche market like PC players. And, and it's coming. It's happening right now.
Yeah, and if you think about even like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launch, I mean, not to say that Xbox has kind of lost this console war, but I mean, for the most part, PlayStation won it on account of usually having better textures and frame rate and, higher res early on. Like, I switched over to PS4 being an Xbox guy for the better part of like 10 years. And it was super weird when I found myself wanting to buy the console, or the version on PlayStation. And that went for a lot of games. And then once you saw Call of Duty switch over, you're like, oh, wow, all the exclusive DLC now is going to PlayStation. This is weird.
Yeah. It was a big paradigm shift.
Yeah, it was a big shift. And it was like a combination of, just Microsoft not having
what PlayStation accomplished there too. Yeah.
It was really weird. And I mean, I think is a little misstep with Kinect and a couple other things that obviously Microsoft realizes now. But hopefully, you're right that doesn't happen. So I want, again, there's a lot of people asking me too, like, why is, what do you feel like on PC? And I'm like, I did not want to be the guy to say PC felt better, but I can't lie.
But it does.
It does.
No, it absolutely does.
And so you feel this weird kind of like, I don't know why. I guess it's the frames, but it just, it feels better. So
I think that, initially my take was that the improvements on PC were just going to be visual, but the more that I've played it, like yourself, you just start to see small ways that the game plays better overall, and it does become a better experience. It's nuanced, and it's not that console players are missing something that's going to make their experience terrible. Yeah. But if you play the game a lot, like if you're just a really big player of the game, you probably are if you're listening to this podcast, and you're going to plan to continue to play the game, it is a better experience. And the game plays smoother. The gunplay is even smoother. The latency in PvP is smoother. Things load faster. Like, there's just a bunch of small improvements that really show you the capacity of the game to shine.
The only thing I don't want them to do that I've already mentioned is the options and the graphic fidelity and things like that, the frame rate, it can all be better. The only thing I don't want them to do, I can't list any games right now, but I know there have been a few I've experienced over my gaming career. I don't want there ever to be any actual gameplay content options that are available in PC that aren't in console just because PC can handle it. That's when I think the difference starts.
I think, fortunately, but unfortunately, as long as this game is still published by Activision and as long as PlayStation's still willing to pony up, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want it to be like held back, for all just the PC players out there, but I think it's important that it's like you said, you mentioned a second ago, is it's the same experience as far as content. You're getting this with PC because of your higher end rig.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. The other thing I wanted to mention too that I think is we mentioned this way back, but before we move on, I wanted to talk about like the ecosystem of like consoles. That's why I've always loved consoles, is because you turn on your console, your friends list is there. That's why 360 was so great, man. The community, the friends list features, the party system in 360 was so good. And that's where you kind of mentioned a minute ago, CJ, PlayStation got it right with PS4. They knew they had to focus on that stuff. And, I love that about console. You turn it on, your friends list is there. It's all there. It's all encompassed right there in that box. You don't have to go searching for it anywhere else. What they did by being the first game on Blizzard's app gave me that feeling. Like, I feel like I have a little bit of a console ecosystem being inside of the Blizzard app versus just going to Steam or something or launching it from my desktop, and only having the friends list in the game. Yeah. I think that's something I've thought about, and that's kind of a big deal for me that makes PC even a little bit more cozy for me than maybe otherwise wouldn't have been there. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, for me, like that's what I was worried about, right? Like those were the things that, again, I have sit next to a guy named James Duggan who's a huge PC guy, and he's a little bit hard on it because there's a bunch of things that he thinks that the game actually doesn't have, like general chat and things like that when they talk about not being at the tower. But I think for the most part when it comes to having that infrastructure there, I think it's really nice too. And that was my fear. I was like, well, I don't want this to be a big convoluted mess. I don't want to not know what I'm doing and adding friends. And so, the simplicity of it being, on BattleNet and everything like that is actually a really positive thing. And the crazy thing is when I do plug into my controller the way they've done this version on PC, you can't tell. It literally adapts the controller so that it's like all the buttons change to PlayStation. If you unplug it and plug an Xbox controller in, all the buttons now show the Xbox one.
Oh,
so
it's instant.
Oh, you're playing with a PlayStation controller?
I go back and forth testing them out.
Oh man, I didn't realize it would. I just assumed I would have to use my Xbox Elite controller.
No, so I plugged the Xbox Elite controller in here, and that's what's really surprised me. So I even tried to plug my 360 controller in with the Direct One. It doesn't do it. You need to get the wireless RF 360 connector to the PC, because I'm gonna get flamed for this super hardcore, but whatever, I might as well do it. I've always been a fan of staggered sticks, but I like the 360 controller better than the Xbox One and even the Elite controller in a way, only because the analog sensitivity of the stick is too loose. Like there's not enough tension in the analog stick on the Xbox One. So,
dude, I can't go from. How do you feel about PlayStation? PlayStation 6?
So PlayStation 3, like DualShock 3 and 2, like terrible. I hated them to the point that like the sticks were too close together. My thumbs hit. I despise them and literally.
But what about like the sensitivity on PS4?
So I don't mind it. So the PlayStation 4 controller actually feels really good. Like the analog sticks have a higher tension in them than the Xbox One, which is the reason why I've been gravitating towards them a little bit more now. 360 is still my favorite controller of all time. Yeah. But so I want to get it for that reason and try it out. But
I've mentioned this to Cyborg so many times, man. I have yet to figure out why my Elite, as comfortable as the Elite is, and as I do like the staggered sticks, I can't ever get my Elite, no matter how much I adjust the settings, to feel like my PlayStation controller feels for me.
You can't.
And it's the sticks. It's like the play, the looseness,
the
and the
dead
sticks,
zone.
What I call the dead zone.
It's the dead zone
sometimes.
Inside the Xbox One and Elite controllers is too big, and so the moment you're trying to move the stick ever so slightly, it actually doesn't register. And it's a giant pain because I'm like, the controller is amazing and it's super comfortable.
Yeah, it is comfortable.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, dude, when you're using No Land Beyond and a shotgun, that little difference is like, I can't even play Crucible. Yeah. I would plug my Elite in and I felt like I've changed my sensitivity like all over the place.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of people who agree with me. I get flack for saying that all the time because I don't like the PlayStation 4 controller better, but when it comes to finite aim and just those subtle little details, I've been enjoying it more playing Destiny for that reason because there's more tension in the analog sticks. Besides that, I don't really care. I mean, they're both really good controllers. Yeah. But the
PlayStation 4 controllers, it is definitely an improvement in cozy, a big improvement with PS3, but there's nothing, you can't get more comfortable than that Xbox One and Elite controller.
They are
like
really
it's so
good.
comfortable in your hands.
Yeah.
CJ, did you see that they're putting out a fresh version of the Duke?
No, are they really? Are you joking with me right now?
No. Go to Twitter and you can see they even tweeted out a picture and they're putting like retail version of the Duke that will work on your Xbox.
Unreal. So the Duke, I mean, even back then, I will say this, I actually liked the initial Xbox S controller, the controller after the Duke. Maybe even as much or the same as the 360 because, like the triggers were reset a little bit deeper and those analog sticks and the triggers were actually had a lot of tension in them. But when you played that for a long period of time, the tension of pulling the trigger over and over was tiring and they loosened it a little bit on the 360. But the Duke, oh dude, that thing was just a beast. Why are they doing this?
I can't wait. I'm gonna get one.
So big.
I want to
so
have one.
big.
But no, I was going back to what you said earlier. I was impressed that I can plug in, like, literally I was in the middle of a PvP match earlier, like when I jumped in with you guys before we started, and I was like, oh no, God, I got to get my controller, and I just, in between a spawn, plugged it in. It took like 2 seconds and I was ready to go, like, just picked up that I was on controller. And you can actually, while the controller is plugged in, go back and forth if you want. And it will recognize the input and adjust, like, what's happening between the difference, like, because there is, like, tuning differences.
Yep.
I'm like shocked and impressed, like, that they made it that easy.
When you hit the enter key to type in your chat, like, it instantaneously thinks you're back on a keyboard. Then when you touch the analog stick, like on the controller, it thinks you're back on the controller. Like, it's a seamless transition, and it's really well done. Yeah,
it is. It is. Well, I think we've touched a lot of the major aspects of what we think so far. I think, we're going to find more as we play it more over the coming weeks and our overall opinions. But, I think my take so far is I'm going to give it a really high positive rating. And, this is more than just a port. People keep saying that.
I love
push that.
I love that we have PC as an option. Plus, we played this week, man. Finally.
Yeah, we played together the first time in months because we're on the same platform for once.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be nice to be able to play together now. PC, meet in the middle, like we said.
Yep.
And I think that's what PC is doing. And it's funny to hear you say that, calling the PC a port. Like, it definitely isn't a port. It's like the PC version. I get why port kind of feels like a bit of a dirty word, because just because it was released second. But and again, I'm trying to quantify why PvP and some of those issues that we were talking about, you really notice on the PC version, because I don't think PvE feels like, visually it feels different. Like, that sense of 60 frames or 60 and above feels different. But I never thought that Destiny 2 on console PvE felt bad. But, there's a very different feeling when you're playing against a human player versus an AI player. So subtle little movements that, you have more frames of on the PC, you definitely notice. But, it's weird now to think about there have been no PC for the last month, and now here we are. And now I think that's what had a lot of people on, consoles worried. It's like, I hope this doesn't turn into everybody becomes a PC elitist in a way. And even me, I'm now detracting what I said. I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna stay on consoles. Like, I'm gonna do both because I have a lot of friends on both system. But man, here I am talking about, like, computer upgrades and all this RAM and like graphics cards. I'm like,
it's like,
I never thought I'd be back here again.
Here we are, nerding out again.
It's a good option. Well, and an easy oversight too is their interface with a controller is like, it's basically like you should have a mouse. That's what I was excited, is to experience the interface of Destiny with a little hovering node. Now you have a mouse, it just feels natural. It's like it should have always been on PC as well.
Which is what's funny, because I always said that about the original Destiny. I found it odd when I first turned on that I couldn't tab through my menu. I was like, why can't I not just use the D-pad or whatever and just like click, click, click? I found it super unintuitive at first. I had to take this circular cursor. I was like, it felt like Destiny 1 was developed for a PC. And then they just made it on console. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I've often said that to many people. And so you're right. Now with a mouse and keyboard, it just kind of feels right at home.
Smooth transition. Yep.
Well, lots to look forward to in unpacking Destiny 2 on PC. And hey, we get to collect all the fun stuff again on a different platform.
I also wonder how sweaty Trials is going to be.
Oh, lordy. I might opt out of that activity. I'm going to enjoy the ecosystem on console while all of the sweaty tryhards are on PC. So
there you go.
I'll enjoy getting more flawlesses.
I was going to say, get those early runs in, because, those first couple weeks seems like, there's always a mix of people trying it out. So, do those Trials runs early if you need to do that Lighthouse run or the Spire.
Well, let's do some Dirt Fam discourse real quick. And we had one email from a guy, Casey, and I'm gonna for this purpose, because we're kind of long on the show, I'm gonna summarize what he was asking and try to give him a little hand here. So Casey was relating that he wasn't quite getting the complaints some people had about not having as much to do, because he's level 290 on his first character. He's got a ton of hours into the game, and he's still got a ton, to level to get to 305. And he was relating how difficult it is. So I want to give him some tips. And, if you're a player that's in the same position, I think that as Destiny 1 players and players that saw like all the stuff come in with the Taken King, like I think, for instance, myself and other, more seasoned players are more used to kind of decoding how some of the leveling and power systems work in Destiny. And I do think that they didn't do an awesome job of explaining what happens when you basically hit 265. Because you hit this soft cap where to progress, you can only do it in specific ways. Whereas earlier in the game, before you hit 265, basically everything you do, any enemy you kill, anything you can do that drops loot can help you progress. And then suddenly your options become narrower and you have to be more deliberate about what you do. So Casey, once you hit 290, what you have to look for is your milestones and powerful engrams. There's a difference between your average legendary engram and legendary loot that drops from vendors, because there is a unexplained mechanic that controls what those engrams drop at. So like just a regular legendary engram you might find in the wild, or if you go to a vendor, or if you get a blue engram, the power value of those rewards are always a certain number below your highest power. So if it's 290, you're probably getting stuff like in the 283 to 285 range from those. And he was saying how like he's only progressing with exotics. And so what you've got to do is go look at your milestones and look for the milestones that are rewarding powerful engrams, I think is what they're called. Is this right? Am I using the right term?
Yeah, that's right.
Those specific rewards drop at a much higher level. So if you're 290, they're always going to drop above 290. So those are the rewards that you want to chase, and you're going to get those through doing the Nightfall, through doing the weekly Crucible for Shaxx, through doing what am I missing here? There's like the Flashpoint, like doing your public events. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, and then also you can get some of those if you're in a clan. You can get some powerful engrams through your clan if people are completing certain activities. That's how people get from 290 to 305 in like a week or two. So pay attention to the difference between those and, chase those rewards, and you're going to progress a lot faster.
Yeah, he mentioned that he was like getting one light above, and that it would take him however many more exotics to,
get
up
what's
to
happening is he's getting exotics dropping at 286 with a 5 power, modifier on them, and he's getting like 291. So, that would take you forever.
Yeah, those powerful engrams are almost, they're guaranteed to drop several higher.
Yep,
so
that's what
you
you
should
want.
see some progress. Yep.
So go check that stuff out, and you'll have a much better time progressing, and you'll be at 305 before you know it, and you can go start another guy.
And then you'll be emailing us saying, I'm waiting for that new patch, because
I just ruined your
depth in my
experience.
end game.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
All
Kidding.
right.
There's plenty to do.
Dirtfam Discourse is usually the part of the show where you can email us or leave a speak pipe, which is like a voicemail. We've got a couple other emails in the wings that we've still got to answer. But if you've got a question for us, a comment on something we talked about, or even you want to give a shout out to somebody that's done something positive in the community, send us an email at destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com or leave us a speakpipe at speakpipe.com/destinyreset. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I challenged you to leave speakpipes and you guys let me down again this week. I'm highly disappointed. So next week, I'm going to have some scripted speakpipes.
Yeah, I don't know how those are going to work out.
Oh, they're going to be epic.
Oh boy. We got some Dirt Fam patron shout outs this week. Sir B. Leslie, Will Burrito, The Riptide, and Dead DeWitt. And then help me with this last one here.
Copacetic Devil.
Thank you very much. Words sometimes. You know,
words good.
Thank you. Yeah, right. So, anyways, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the support. Again, Guardians, if you've become a Dirt Fan patron, be sure to go check your messages on Patreon if you can, because we like to make sure we know your exact gamer tag before we give you a shout out or put it on the show.
Yeah, we don't read out your
put it on the
full
website.
First and last names on the airwaves.
Yes.
For privacy
So
reasons.
check and see if we've asked you what your gamer tag is.
If you'd like to become a patron, you can do so by going to patreon.com/destinyreset, and you can support the production budget of this show for as little as $1 a month. Believe it or not, that makes a big difference for us. So, we appreciate all of our patrons. There's a whole slew of you now since we started this. And, if you do become a patron, you get a couple little perks like getting your name shout out on the show. You get a permanent place on our website and a few other things as well. So, go on by and, we appreciate that. And then if you don't want to do that $1 a month or however much, you can just leave us like a $5 tip or a $1 tip. We've got a PayPal button on our website, and a lot of you have been taking advantage of that as well, and we appreciate that very, very much.
You guys are so nice. It just warms our heart to see all the support.
It's making a big difference, like, for real, compared to last year when we didn't have this. It's made our lives better, so we thank you for it.
It has. Yes.
Okay. I'm ready to go play some more Destiny 2, guys.
Man. Hey, I am always up to talk Destiny whenever there's people around to do that. So no apologies required.
All the listeners could have told you we said an hour 15, hour 30, but Cyborg and I can talk about this game for a while. So if you're down for that, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He probably enjoyed being able to go past an hour without Destin saying, "All right, guys, got to move on. Come on."
I was going to say, if you've watched Fire Team Chat at IGN, you'll know most of the episodes usually end in, are we done?
Are we done?
Or, well, there's so much more to say, but carry on. And then that's what happened for YouTube comments.
We love Destin, but he like, that is his job, man. Like, he keeps things on the rails, you know?
Yeah. Hard 180 sometimes, but it is funny. I mean, you know, we would love the show to be longer, and we do talk much Destiny outside of the show when we get a chance to hang out. But,
I bet.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, it's the only time sometimes we actually get a chance to geek out for the week because we're all so busy. So, everybody else, I would love to do a longer podcast as well. But, you know, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there doing an hour plus. We're the special one that just keeps it nice and concise and condensed. You know, but yeah, we'd like it to be a little longer too. So.
I gotta say, I normally do like longer podcasts, but I do appreciate the length of yours because I know I can finish it like on a drive home. One drive home.
And that's the thing, right? We look at those stats and we get, you know, those analytics, and we look at those numbers. And so that's one of the reasons why we do keep it short. We hear that from a lot of people, you know, they're listening to us on the way home from work, or they got a 30 or 40 minute car ride. And sometimes committing to an hour plus show means you have to do it in breaks, or you have to come back to it at another time. So that's one of the reasons, but there is always lots more. It feels like we need to say on the show, which is the reason why I usually like to jump into the YouTube comment section. But,
there you go.
We get emails that are like, "Hey guys, love the podcast. I get to listen to it all week long, driving to and from." It's like,
We see it from both directions. Like, we've seen plenty of people have said, it's a little long, and then we get a lot of people and they're like, make it longer. I have a long commute,
Exactly. Some people will say, like stay on topic. And it's like funny because even when we're off topic, it's still about Destiny. It's just maybe in the wrong section of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I'm with you. We could talk Destiny at length as well as play. So.
Well, CJ, where can people find you if they want to follow you and see more of your content?
Yeah, so most of the time, again, working at IGN, you could check out our Twitter at IGN. But me personally, at Gibson Films on Twitter. I kind of plug the Twitch thing every now and then, but since you're giving me the opportunity, Twitch TV the video guy TV. Oh, that last TV kills me.
Nice.
But that's the one that's there for now. And obviously, on Fireteam Chat. Which is youtube.com/fireteamchat. Every Fridays at 5 p.m. is when we do our Destiny podcast as well.
Absolutely a show you should check out.
Yes, definitely.
Well, great. Arrow, where can people find you, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter at the Arrow Knight, and on Twitch and YouTube, it's Arrow Knights. You, man?
As always, you can find me on Twitter at CyborgSasquatch and twitch.tv/CyborgSasquatch. And then finally, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter. Great idea to follow us on Twitter because we're often doing giveaways and tweeting news and information about Destiny. And then finally, you can find us on the World Wide Web at www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's, as always, your source for all things DRP, including links to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you're not in our Discord, you can cruise on over to the Discord at discord.gg/Destiny Reset.
Yes. And we got an iTunes review this week. Thank you so much to B. DeWitt82. I believe, unless it's a coincidence, maybe that's our new patron.
It's got to be Dead DeWitt.
Yep. So thank you so much. We appreciate the review as well.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's go play some Destiny 2 on PC, fellas.
Yeah, I think we're gonna play some PC Crucible, right? Or are we going to bed?
No. Oh, dude,
we're gonna play.
No, I mean, I played 3 and 4 in the morning. No, there's no going to bed.
Okay, we're good then. All right, well then let's wrap this up. Thanks again for joining us, CJ.
Yeah, appreciate the invite. Thanks again, guys.
Welcome anytime. All right, guys. Until next week, have fun playing Destiny 2 and take care, Guardians.